Hello everyone, welcome to Sane Minds. So I have an article here on the Huffington Post from South Africa. They're talking about, could it be time to deny white men the franchise? And what they mean by the franchise is denying white men the right to vote for 20 years at least. Just less than a generation, as Shelley Garland puts it. And apparently she's a philosophy student. But just that they're going to put this garbage on here, I mean, I know the Huffington Post is bad, but it just gets worse and worse, it seems. They said if white men no longer had the right to vote, the progressive cause would be strengthened. It would not be necessary to deny white men indefinitely. Just the denial of the white vote for 20 years. Okay, so they want to stop white people from voting, white men from voting for 20 years. This is a worldwide thing. She's in South Africa, but she talks about it worldwide as a problem. And, you know, she tries to say that it's because of slavery, it's because of colonialism. This is why white people in general, white males, are on the top. And, I mean, not every white person, white male, is on the top of the world. I mean, there's so many that work every single day hard with people of other colors, whether they're legal or illegal. I mean, right next to them. This is ridiculous to think that one race or one sex in that race is somehow privileged to the effect that they're going to get everything handed to them. They're all going to have money. I mean, even if the majority of people that have a lot of money in this country are white males, the majority of people are white. And the fact for the males is that a lot of these people started their own businesses. A lot of these people are businessmen. If we look at the top wealthiest people in the world, they're not, just a politician or something like that. These people started their own companies. And I mean, maybe males have a certain drive towards that. I don't know. Maybe in particular the industries that those males succeeded in are something that males seem to do better at. And there are differences between the sexes. I know that's a hot topic, and a lot of people can give me flack for that, but it's true. That's there really is a reason why certain sexes are better for one thing or the other. I mean, I've seen that in my life experience, so you can't tell me different on that. At least it's my opinion in other regards, but that is my experience. And it's just, it's ridiculous that they think that somehow denying white men to vote is going to fix all their problems, right? The world is just going to get better. If anything, I mean, they're talking about reparations here for slavery. They're talking about redistributing global assets to their rightful owners, when the rightful owners of what? I mean, in all of human history, there's been violence, there's been slavery, there's been theft of food and resources and land. It's just, I mean, it's one thing and the other. It's always been like that, whether it's in America with the Native Americans, whether it's in Africa with the Africans, whether it's in Asia with the Asians. I mean, look at Japan. I mean, it wasn't but 70-something years ago they were raping and pillaging through Indochina. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that this is a white male problem. I mean, it even admits in the article here that white people are only about 10% of the world's population. I mean, we're actually a minority, if you want to consider the world here, which is what they want everyone to let in, right? They don't want a border. They don't want a wall. They want everything open. Just come on in, right? Because the people that were already here aren't the ones who made the system, and that's why the system works, and that's why the system is at a high level that it's at, right? The quality of the system. Not because we have people from third world nations just pouring in unchecked and not bringing any type of skill to themselves. All they're doing is another mouth to feed, another place to house, another person to take a job, to drive down wages. They'll accept a low wage because they'll send the money home, most of their families back home, so that money goes further, and they only have to worry about themselves. When people like me or you may be paying for, our family's expenses here. It's not the same. You can't take that low wage. But, and I was thinking as well, what if, they said they want to redistribute white males' assets and property, but what if, as a feminist liberal, she should be thinking, what if someone doesn't identify as a white male? I mean, could you just say, oh, I'm not a white male, just to get out of that? I mean, I don't understand how that works there. Pretty ridiculous, not even thinking this through. And other races have committed every atrocity that you could name as white males have committed. And not even that. Why are we going to blame people that are alive now for the actions of people who are already dead. It's people that I don't know, and no one knows. They're dead. You could not possibly know them. It was so long ago. So it's really ridiculous that this is, being put out in a mainstream media news outlet like that. It's reprehensible. I mean, people can try and say, oh, it's the Republicans, conservatives that are, Donald Trump and people like that have made America worse and more racism and, worse living conditions. But if you look at inner cities, who have they been electing? Democrats, a lot of blacks, a lot of minorities. And it hasn't helped at all. They're some of the shittiest places to live. I wouldn't want to live there. So it's really ridiculous. People have been fighting forever for other people's property and land. So where would we draw that line and say, oh, this is yours. You're the rightful owner? Like, how would you even determine that now? It's been thousands and thousands of years of different conflicts and different people taking over one place and then maybe even mixing together. So it's like, how would you even establish that? It's a ridiculous thing. It's kind of like, well, things are at where they're at right now. And not even that, but the Western civilization's already one of the freest civilizations that have ever come about. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of freedoms that, you're allowed so much freedom that these people could openly stand up and say, I hate you, I despise you, the majority of the population, and nothing happens to them at all. They're allowed to do that, and that's freedom of speech, and I support that. I support freedom of speech, even if it's something I think is stupid and I think is toxic to people that have, a more naive mind, younger people especially. It's being taught a lot in schools and influencing them. So I think that's very dangerous. I think it's dangerous what they're doing. Indoctrination in a lot of ways. It's pumped through all of the mainstream outlets. MTV, they target kids with a lot of these new movies and shows that show the same type of thing, the same type of thinking. And if you don't agree, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're Islamophobic, you're homophobic. The list just really goes on. So I don't see where it stops exactly, because it sounds like where they want it to stop is white males not having a right to vote for at least 20 years. We'll see if that's, if they did somehow get that ability, would they be like, oh yeah, after 20 years we'll give it back to you? Or would they want to keep going with what they're getting a bunch of money and property out of this, right? It sounds like a pretty good deal for them. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Is greed going to corrupt them, or somehow are they above that because they're not white and white males? This is ridiculous. And not even that. How dare the author of this article assume that all these rich people are white males just because they outwardly appear so? Who's to say that they don't identify different? That their identity isn't different? So it's pretty funny how, there's a lot of things that are just pretty ironic here. But alright, everyone, if you want some new content, just go ahead and like and subscribe.